The year is 1945. The Second World War is over. Across Europeans fall silent, and people emerge from the ruble, celebrating survival. But on the Indian subcontinent, the end of one war signals the beginning of another. This war wouldn't be fought with bombs or tanks, but with ink on a map line that would tear a nation apart. The British Empire, drained by years of conflict, was finally loosening its grip. India, the jewel in its crown, was on the verge of freedom. The air was thick with hope, but beneath it lay a dangerous question. Once the British were gone, who would inherit the land? In a small town near Lahore, this question was a distant whisper. Here, three friends Amir, Ramesh, and Hargita grew up together. Their families had shared the same soil for generations. They shared festival meals, borrowed sugar from each other's kitchens, and laughed under the same banyan tree. Their religions had names, but they didn't yet have walls. But after the war, everything changed. Political speeches grew louder, angrier. Newspapers spoke of two nations. Rumors spread like wildfire, poisoning wells of trust that had taken centuries to dig. Amir's father, a Muslim, listened to speeches about the need for a separate state. Fearing for his family's safety in a Hindu-majority India, Ramesh's uncle attended meetings for a united, secular nation. Hargit's Sikh family felt trapped in the middle, uncertain of their place in either future. Then, in 1947, the decision came down like a guillotine. Britain would leave. India would be free. But it would be divided. A British lawyer, Sir Cyril Radcliffe, who had barely set foot in India, was given just 5 weeks to draw the border. With a few strokes of his pen, he sliced through provinces, villages, homes, and hearts. Suddenly, their town was no longer one place. It was on T-wrong side for some, and the right side for others. Chaos erupted. What followed was one of the largest and bloodiest human migrations in history. Trains that left full of people hoping for a new life returned full of corpses. Neighbors who had shared lifetimes turned on each other overnight. Fear erased memory. Amir's family packed what they could. His mother buried her wedding jewelry under the floor, convinced she would one day return. Ramesh's family locked the door to a house filled with generations of memories. Hargit's father just stood and stared at the fields, knowing no border could ever define his home. The three friends met one last time under their banyan tree. "We didn't choose this," Ramesh said, his voice trembling. "But we will pay for it," Amir replied grimly. Hargit was silent. Some grief is too deep for words. They went their separate ways. Amir towards the new nation of Pakistan. Ramesh deeper into what remained of India. Hargit towards a refugee camp, his destination unknown. None of them knew if they would survive the week. The partition would claim nearly 1 million lives and displace over 14 million people. But the story doesn't end there. On the eastern side of the subcontinent, another wound was left open. East Pakistan, separated from West Pakistan by over 1,000 miles of Indian land, felt like a colony of its own country. The people, who spoke Bengali, were culturally suppressed and politically ignored. Language became the new battlefield. When Urdu was declared the only national language, protests erupted. People were killed for the right to speak their mother tongue. By 1971, this simmering tension exploded into a brutal war for independence. Villages were burned, unspeakable atrocities were committed, and millions fled to India as refugees. Through this fire, a new nation was born. Bangladesh. Years later, an older Amir sat in his home in Karachi and heard the news of Bangladesh's independence on the radio. The announcement made him think of the banyan tree. In Delhi, Ramesh na askulti sher taught his students about freedom, but he always skipped the chapter on partition. And Hargit, who rebuilt his life in Amritsar, would sometimes drive to the border just to stand and look across the line. Borders were drawn to create nations, but they ended up destroying families. The end of World War II brought freedom from imperial rule, but it also taught a devastating lesson. Freedom without unity comes at a terrible price. The division of India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh wasn't just a political event. It was a human tragedy written into the lives of millions. Even today, the echoes of that time remain. You can hear it in the stories of grandparents who still dream of homes that no longer exist, of trains that never arrived. And somewhere, in the vast landscape of memory, three young boys are still sitting under a banyan tree, forever friends, unaware that a simple line on a map would one day turn their world into 3 different countries. Thanks for watching. If this story moved you, please like and subscribe for more chapters from our shared history.